they all just jumped him. And that lock in his sock was swinging. He took a couple of them out before they got him. There was just too many numbers.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello everybody, Harvey Talks Prison here. Van Davis, I believe that's his name, wanted me to do a video on the chow hall at M.S.P. and all the things that happened down there. So I'm going to do that, and I might add other things in there too. But the chow hall, out of all the prisons I've been in, was the biggest. And as I've said in other videos, it was divided. One side was black people, and the other side was white people. That's just the way it was. I'm doing this in the car because it's windy outside, and there's a lot of things going on in the house, so I'm doing it here. But anyway, back in the day, they tell me that the trays were made of tin, and that people would often use the trays as weapons, you know. A couple people almost got scalped, I heard. But I remember some of these stories are going to be funny, and some of them's not going to be so funny. I remember one time, you got to go down like this ramp, and on Sundays they had eggs and bacon, believe it or not. Every Sunday they had eggs or bacon. So I'm going down this ramp, and this guy comes up past me and says, "Excuse me," you know, kind of puts out his hand, says, "Excuse me." He doesn't touch me, he just says, "Excuse me," and knocks out the person in front of me. Knocks him out and goes back in line. It's egg and bacon day, you know. So I just stepped over this guy. Other people went around him, whatever. We just kept going. But this guard, the CO, pulls me out to the side. After, you know, I was almost down to the bottom. And he's questioning me. I think he thought I did it. The guy who did it comes back up and says, "Hey man, it wasn't him, it was me. I'm the one who did it." So they take that guy to the hole. Another time on a Sunday, now this is a little funny, but I got extra eggs because of it. I lie not. I'm going through the line, and you can see, unlike the ones nowadays in the modern prisons, you can see the people serving and stuff. So I get up there to where the eggs were at, and the guy says, I'm being a little smart, you know, an idiot, really. He says, "How you like your eggs?" I said, "I like my eggs." He looks at me a minute, he goes, "I mean, how do you like them done?" I said, "I like them better that way." He just starts scooping up eggs, runny ones, half done, fully cooked ones, and just starts slamming them on my plate, and grease was flying up on me, and cussing me out. And I sit down, you know, I go and sit down. This guy that was behind me he comes by, he's sitting somewhere else. He goes, "Man, I ought to try that sometime. Maybe I'll get some extra eggs." I said, "Man, I got burnt all over my arm." But one time I was sitting there, and I told you, you sit in the same chair, table every day. Same seat, same table, every day. I remember one time I was sitting there, a guy comes up that he belongs there, you know, he sits down across from me, and another guy sits there. There's still one open table. And he says, "Hey man, just want you guys to be aware of something may happen." You know? So we're kind of, you know, keeping an eye out, you know. And nothing happens until he gets up and gets ready to leave. And the guy runs over and starts sticking him. You know, poking him up. And he had his with him too. And he started fighting, you know. That's the kind of things that happen a lot in chow hall. I don't know why. It's always the basketball court. It's always the chow hall, at MSP anyway, or the softball field. Funny thing is I've only seen bats used one time as a weapon. You'd think they would get rid of softball because of the bats, but they don't. Another time, I'm sitting there, and it's just me yet. And the other people that are sitting at the table, they haven't got there yet. And this guy just comes up and sits down, and he wasn't a new guy. So I know he knew better. I said, hey, dude, you're in the wrong seat. He just stares at me. I said, I'm just letting you know, you're in the wrong seat. So I'm waiting for the other guy to come up, He comes up. But at the same time as the other guy that sits over on this side of me sits down. And he tells the dude, says, man, you're in my seat, man. Please get up. He did it real politely. He said, please get up and leave. And the guy says, I ain't going nowhere. And I grabbed my plate and stood up because as he started swinging. Milk and coffee, plates, and all this went every which way, The other guy grabbed his plate too. And anyway, they ran and they cuffed him up. The dude was supposed to be sitting there, cuffed him up. Then he turns to me and the other dude, and he said, hey, man, sorry for messing up your breakfast, man. I couldn't allow that, though, I apologize. No big deal. So I'm standing, there's a mess. There's milk and coffee everywhere. So I'm standing there eating, and the other guy is too. The guard comes over and tells me, he says, hey, man, sit down. I said, no, I ain't sitting in milk and coffee. And he looks and goes, okay. He said, but, and he yelled for a worker. But he said, man, you didn't have to be so smart about it. I said, I'm just not sitting in coffee and milk. I thought look at it. It's everywhere. I don't see how you can miss it. And so the guy cleans it up, and me and the dude sit back down. I had to go get some more milk. I didn't really care about getting any more coffee. The stuff's nasty anyway. But I'm talking to him. I said, it's kind of funny. And he goes, what do you mean it's funny? I don't see nothing funny about what happened. That was my partner. I said, not funny, ha ha. It's funny that the dude sat down there. I almost said the other guy's name. I ain't got permission to use his name. And I said, the other guy comes up and wants his seat, and they end up fighting over it, and nobody gets it. Nobody gets the seat now. He lost his seat. He goes, well, he probably ain't going to be in the hole very long, He goes, maybe he'll get out before somebody else needs a seat. Which is exactly what happened. Nobody sat there. And he wasn't down in the hole very long. Back then, nowadays, you get in a fight, they make you do 10 days, sometimes more. 10 days, and then you have to wait on bed space. Back then, you do a few days and you get out. Sometimes you do 10 days. But another time, and this one I do not understand. I don't know why it was done. I can't figure it out. The table next to us, there's a guy we knew, and we talked to him off. We hung around with him. He sat there in the same spot every day, day. He'd been there since I got there. And one day he comes up, and his best friend, his partner, is sitting in his seat. I just figured he would just move and sit across from him. No. He tells him, he said, hey, buddy, you're in my seat, you're going to have to move. The guy kind of laughs and looks up at him, and he goes, really? He goes, I don't see your name on it, and just kind of made a joke out of it, and it was on. And they was fighting. And I talked to the guys, I says, man, he goes, and they told me, they said, remember what we told you? You don't let nobody take your seat because that's disrespectful and they're trying to punk you out. I said, yeah, but this was like a joke thing. They said, well, you know, apparently he didn't think it was a joke and apparently he didn't think it was funny. It just seems two friends fighting over a seat. It just seemed, and there was 3 other open places at that table. And usually there was always 2 open at that table. For some reason, it never filled up. But I seen a guy one time in the chow hall. He comes down and he has a lock in a sock, you know, a couple socks. And he's going around asking everybody for help. And the reason he's going around asking everybody for help was because he got into it with a bunch of black people that they stole his canteen and he told on them. I've seen something worse happen for that happening. But anyway, they're going to whoop him. They're all going to jump him. So he's down in the chow hall asking for help and nope, buddy. You snitched on him. We ain't helping you. And first, they all just jumped him. And that lock in his sock was swinging. He took a couple of them out before they got him. There was just too many numbers. You know, and the guards came there and, you know, they broke it up and everything. But if you ask me, they took their time. But that's another thing. Back there at MSP, the guards, even though if somebody told they would use that information, a lot of times, sometimes they wouldn't. They'd just say, get out of here. But they didn't really like snitches either. There was hardly any of them on the yard like they are nowadays. The yard in Missouri prisons anyway is full of them. There's a bunch of prisons gotten softer. And I ain't talking about just the people incarcerated. I'm talking about the guards and stuff that's working there too. They're soft too. They don't make them like they used to. Ever since they closed MSP in 2004, because MSP was the ones that trained the officers, you know, MSP hasn't been training them anymore. And so now there's weird people coming in. But I'm kind of getting off topic here. This chow hall thing, this guy wanted to know about chow hall. Van Davis, I've seen all kinds of things happen there, man. I mean, I can go on and on. There was a crazy guy one time, and I don't say this in a demeaning way. I'm told he lost his mind because the amount of time, you know, he let time get to him, and it destroyed his mind, you know. And it's sad. It's happened to more than one person. I've seen it happen, and so I'm not trying to make fun of the guy or anything, or demean his mental situation. This is just the way I talk. And I apologize if I offend anybody. I definitely don't mean to offend him, man, because these people can't help it, man. Anyway, you know, some people would kind of laugh at his antics and stuff. But, well, some of them was kind of funny, but the bottom line is that he couldn't help what he was doing, you know. He would come into the chow hall and sit down in the middle of the floor. He wouldn't sit at a table. He'd sit out in the middle of the floor. And I don't know why, you know, and there's been guards, there's been convicts, and everybody say, hey, man, you know, you can sit here, man. He won't do it. Sometimes it's in the middle of the floor, sometimes it's up against the wall. And, you know, another thing about this chow hall is it had gun slots, and they used to use them. When I was there, they didn't use them. But in case something broke out, they had these little holes where the gun stuck through, and they just, you know, and another little slot where I guess they looked out. I asked, I didn't know what they were at first. When I first got there, I said, man, what are those things? And they just said they were gun slots. They're what? But another time, this is kind of a funny story. One of my workout partners, he sat at a different table, but one time we went to the chow, you know, and I had never hardly seen him at breakfast before. And that's another thing. Bread down there was good because they made their own bread. It's thick. You got thick pieces, you know, and you got to toast it yourself. And so you can get it however you want it. You get as many pieces as you wanted back in. I don't know how it was after I left. I mean, some people, they just have a stack of toast, but you only had like 5 minutes to eat, but not very long. But anyway, he goes to chow. And I said, man, you haven't been down here in a long time. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I was up, so today's a good breakfast. I figured I'd come down here, you know. But he drinks this milk. And he goes, man, that milk's good. And he wants to gets him another glass. And he walks by me. He says, man, I can't stop drinking this milk. It's good, man. I ain't been down here in a minute. So we're getting ready to leave. And I'm walking back with him. And all of a sudden, he just takes off. You know, there's a tunnel. You got to go down this tunnel. And, unless you live in Three House, you know. And, well, even part of Three House, you got to go through part of the tunnel. But anyway, he takes off running. And I don't see him anymore for a while. But what happened was that milk got to him. He tells me later he barely made it back. But anyway, so that's a few more stories of the chow hall at MSP. And I there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them I've seen there. But I just wanted, Van Davis wanted me to do a thing on the chow hall. So I did. And I hope this answered his, this is what he's looking for. And Ben Davis, I thank you for the suggestion. And I can go on and on about that chow hall, though. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.